Carrying the weight of debt is huge. And when we're in debt, it prevents us from feeling our fullest joyful expression. It prevents us from actually tuning into and connecting with our full joy because we are so burdened by the heaviness and the weight of debt. And so this video is really close to my heart. I feel really passionate about sharing it because I carried debt for over 10 years and no matter what I seemed to be able to do, I couldn't get rid of it. Debt for me felt like a cookie monster. No matter how much money I gave that cookie monster, it didn't matter. It's like it went down into the pit of this bottomless hole. And so the process of freeing myself from debt has been one of the most liberating processes of my life, on a physical level, but also at a deeply spiritual level, at that level of who I believe myself to be. So hello, my name is Fiona. My business is called Freedom with Fiona, and I'm really here to help souls just like you to come home to themselves, to remember the truth of who you are as this powerful co-creator of your reality. And ultimately, what I'm really inspired to do is help you to get paid for being you, because I believe we have value from our wisdom and our presence and our medicine that we have to share. And so this video is a really powerful one for all of you out there who have debt and would like to be debt-free. I'm going to be sharing with you 3 powerful shifts. And they are physical, but they're mostly an internal shift within you that are going to help you over time free yourself from the weight of debt. And when you free yourself from the weight of debt, there is this sense of liberation. There is this sense of being the co-creator of your reality. So wherever you're at right now, bear with me, stay with me. Know that it is possible to free yourself from debt. And if you start with these 3 simple shifts I'm going to be talking through with you, you're going to get there much, much quicker. So stay with me right till the end, because the 3rd shift might be the most important, but you can only get to that 3rd shift once you've moved through shifts 1 and 2. So please do stay with me. So as I said, I've been in debt. I was in debt for about 10 years of my life, and I had $10,000 to $15,000 of line of credit debt, and I had line of credit debt and credit card debt. And it didn't really matter what I seemed to do. I just couldn't seem to shift it. I couldn't seem to shift myself out of it. And it was during the time when I was raising when my children were really, really little. And so my capacity to work was greatly limited at the time. And it just felt, crushing. I felt so stuck. I felt so restricted and really, really, really heavy, because the weight of carrying debt, it never leaves you. It's kind of always with you. It's always in your ear. It's always pressing on you. And I truly believe that liberating ourselves from the energetic weight of debt first is the way forward. So these are the 3 shifts that I took personally to energetically, first of all, make the shifts out of debt. And then finally, I saw the results in my life too. And I do have a mortgage, but I do not have line of credit debt anymore. I don't have credit card debt anymore. I'm able to pay that off monthly, and I don't have any loans or car debt either. And so coming to the place where I am just now working on freeing myself from my mortgage too. And it just feels so powerful and liberating. And so the first most powerful shift is actually to get really, really honest with yourself. Really radically honest. And it's very uncomfortable to get really honest with yourself. And when I say get honest, I mean you have to really look at your debt. You have to look at the numbers. You have to look at your credit card statements. You have to get intimate with where you are owing money, get intimate with your interest rates, get intimate with what your minimum payments are and when they need to get paid back. And in this process of getting intimate, in this process of looking, in this process of becoming present with what's actually happening in the physical, you are going to meet all of your discomfort internally. Because if you are anything like me, I avoided looking at my bank account. I avoided looking at my credit card statements. I probably couldn't tell you what my interest rates were or when it needed to be paid. I just avoided it and I pretended it wasn't there. But the tricky thing about that is it is there and you do know it's there. And by avoiding it, by pushing it down, it actually makes the weight heavier. And when you push down one thing, so if you push down shame, fear, anxiety, guilt, which are often energies associated with having debt, when you push those energies down, because we are whole, because we are one united being, it pushes all the other emotions down too. So your capacity to feel joy, your capacity to feel happiness, your capacity to feel contentment is also pushed down, because the microcosm within the macrocosm, what happens in one area happens in all areas. And so radical self-honesty is really powerful. And so you have to come to the place within you where it's just not possible for you to not look anymore. You draw a line in the sand, something has to change. And the first thing is to be really radically honest with yourself about the situation that you're in, and looking in the physical, because what that asks of you to do is to become present to what is. And most of us, especially those of us that have been holding debt, we actually want our reality to be different. We want it to be different now, and we don't want to face what is right now. And when we're constantly trying to actually escape our reality, we actually can't meet with it or be present with it. And so being present, being honest, and really accepting where you are and what's happening is the powerful first move. Your awareness and your honesty is the first move. And ask someone to do it with you. Maybe ask someone to be there with you if you can, because I would try all these tactics to avoid it. I would feel so much shame and guilt. I would take it so personally that this debt somehow reflected, had something to do with who I am as a person. And I know that that's not true now, but a huge part of my value and my worthiness I had tied into my financial status. And so this debt made me believe that my worth was linked to it. So your awareness, your radical honesty with yourself is really important. So some of the things you can actually do: speak to someone that you love and that you trust, and you can and let it out, get really honest. Look at your bank account, look at your credit card statements, look at your line of credit, work out how much you owe, what your interests are, when they need to get paid. And like I say, I would do anything to avoid this. So just the process of doing this was exquisitely uncomfortable. Like I wanted to vomit. It was very visceral in my body, and I literally wanted to do anything other than do this. But it is such a powerful, powerful first energetic shift, because it means that you are being present with what is, which is truth, right? Running away from it, it takes you away from what's truly happening. And so really seeing what's happening is really powerful. So once you've done that and you continually do that, the next shift that you have to shift into is radical ownership. Ownership on some level, that you on some level have created this reality. Now, I felt so much shame that I would often go into blame of myself, but I also might blame other people. I might blame the government. I might blame my situation for the reason why I was in debt. I very much dropped into or shifted into a victim consciousness around this. A young mom raising her kids, not able to bring in the money to cover the costs. I had a really big story about it, and there's a truth to that. And so I'm not dismissing that. There's a lot of compassion that comes in with that. But until you're actually really willing to own the situation, you'll be disempowered. You will continuously be disempowered if you are pointing fingers, looking outside of you, and blaming and shaming outside of you for your situation, and also criticizing, judging, and blaming yourself on some level. So this internal shift takes a huge amount of compassion. It takes a huge amount of self-compassion and self-love to actually take ownership, to claim a level of responsibility. Because this moment where you claim a level of responsibility without blaming, without criticizing, without judging, but just being honest, that's the point in time where things can actually begin to change, because you are stepping into responsibility. You are stepping into ownership, which means you're stepping into empowerment, because it means you have choice. I didn't believe I had a choice for the longest time. And I feel like you suffer for as long as you need to suffer until you're unwilling to suffer anymore. So I believed I was the victim. I believed I didn't have choice until I came to a point where I just couldn't deal with my story anymore. And I wanted it to change. And so, a level of frustration and anger needed to get me to the point where I could actually say, okay, I'm owning that this is the situation I'm in. I'm not judging myself. I'm not going to blame myself. I'm not going to criticize myself for it, but I'm going to get honest. This is the situation I'm in. I somehow created this, which means I can uncreate it, which means I can create a different reality. This is you beginning to feel more empowered because you have choice. You have choice about how you think about yourself in the situation. You have choice about how you feel about yourself in the situation. And you have choice about what you believe is possible for you. So this shift, this internal shift is really powerful and important because it opens up doorways. It raises your level of consciousness so that you actually have choice, so that change at that deep underground level can actually begin to take effect. Thirdly, and most profoundly, you have to remember and shift your identification with who you're believing yourself to be. So when we believe ourselves to be a victim of our circumstance, we are not self-authorized. We are not sovereign. We believe that the outside world is happening to us, that debt is happening to us. And when you make this shift into self-honesty and self-ownership, and you begin to shift in identification of who you believe yourself to be, which comes from expansion of consciousness, all of a sudden, you begin to lead from a different energy. So when you align yourself and know that you are source energy in a body, that you are the universe expressing itself through yourself, that you are abundance, you are not separate to abundance, then this old habit, because that is what it is, this old habit of carrying emotional debt, physical debt, begins to actually shift, because you are not identifying as being the person that is in debt. You are identifying as the truth of who you are, which is infinite potentiality and possibility, which is I am abundance. I exist. And so this massive shift begins to happen when you change your identification. And changing your identification doesn't mean that you have to try to become someone else. It's not that at all. It's that you remember the truth of who you are. And when you remember that truth, when you come home to yourself, when you begin to align to that power, that energy that actually resides within you, things begin to shift. Things actually begin to shift more naturally because you think differently, you feel differently, and you act differently. So if you are not in your position due to outer circumstance putting you there, but you are in that position due to inner circumstance putting you there, then you have choice. And it doesn't mean that it gets easy all of a sudden. If anything, it can be hard for a while because you have to really, really face your emotional debt, the emotional stuff that you've been suppressing. You begin to unravel and let go of all of who you're not as you remember who you are. But during this process, you strengthen, you gain spiritual strength, you gain an inner strength where your outer world becomes less personal. You don't blame yourself and judge yourself for where you are, but you do remember who you are and help that aspect of you align you to what is possible for you in the future. So those are the three powerful internal shifts that I made to free myself of debt. And when I really began to align to knowing the identification that I am abundance, that I am pure potentiality and possibility, even in the face of my debt not changing, even in the face of the shame I felt, when I was able to keep choosing what I knew to be true over my habit story and my habit response in my body, that's when things begin to really shift. Because as soon as you shift on the inside, your outside has to change too, because your outside reality is a reflection of the aspects of you on the inside. You are co-creating your reality by how you think, how you feel, and how you act. So making this shift in that identification of who do I believe myself to be is really, really important. And I have a video about that too, about shifting into remembering the truth of who you are, because it's such a really powerful part of this journey. And I've also got another powerful video called Never Worry About Money Again, which again is actually linked to this internal shift of shifting who you believe yourself to be, knowing that you are a choice, knowing that you are the empowered co-creator of your reality. Therefore, you can actually choose not to worry about money again. And as you choose to not worry, as you choose to align to the I am abundance, to the I am aspect of yourself, your life will begin to change. So there's some beautiful videos for you to follow up with. I'm also going to be having some more videos come out along the series of freeing yourself from debt. And I also have a really powerful course called Breathe Your Abundance, which is 5 hours of these 5 shifts, again, that I began to make to free myself, to liberate myself from debt, but also to free myself to experience the abundance that I am, to experience money and rewrite the money story in a whole new way. So if you're interested in that, you can find out details below. And as always, if you're enjoying these videos, please like, subscribe, and share so that more people can hear these videos. Thank you so much.